Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraika Parnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Hari Om.
Hari Om and Sitaram. Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to be here with you. Thank you, Panditji. Let me tell you a little bit about what is going on. Chinmaya Mission Guyana is conducting a 108-night Bhagavad Gita Yajna across Guyana. Should this? Okay. Hari Om, is this better? Okay. All right. Chinmaya Mission Guyana is conducting a 108-night Bhagavad Gita Yajna. We're going through all 700 verses of the Gita across all of Guyana, a different mandir every night. And now we have reached night number 90. So we are quite close to the end, just like 18 days or something remaining. And we finished 16 chapters. There are 18 chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, and we have finished 16 chapters. So today we will be starting chapter number 17. What just happened in chapter 16, I'll tell you briefly, and then we'll see how it connects to chapter 17. In chapter 16, Bhagavan Sri Krishna was telling Arjuna about two types of wealth. The wealth of values, like honesty and straightforwardness and compassion and integrity. And then he was also telling him about the wealth of vices, negativities, dishonesty, fakeness, hypocrisy, arrogance, like that. And he painted a picture for all of us of what it looks like if someone has what is called Devi Sampat, or values, and what it looks like if someone has Asuri Sampat, or vices, negative tendencies. And the positive qualities or the values bring happiness and joy into our life. And on the other hand, the vices or the negative qualities bring sorrow and stress and agitation and all kinds of things that we don't like into our life. So the solution is, well, remove the negative qualities and foster positive qualities. And so at the end of the chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells Arjuna how it is we're able to know what to follow, what not to follow, so that we can build these positive qualities and remove the negative qualities. And he says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Akarya Vyavastita. In the matter of what we ought to be doing and what we ought not to be doing, the authority that tells us what to do is our Shastra. Shastra meaning scriptures. That's the translation that is given. But actually scripture doesn't do justice to the word Shastra. Right? Shastra in Sanskrit is that hitam upadishati. It is that which tells us something for our benefit. That is what the Shastra is there for. It is not there to objectively teach us something. It is there to teach us that which will lead to our benefit. And the way it does that is it commands us in the beginning. You know, when children are little and they don't understand that vegetables are good for them, the parents have to say, you better eat this. There's no other choice. You have to eat it. Somehow children have this thing in their brain, when they see something green coming into their face, they're like, oh my God, I can't eat that. They don't understand that it is good for them. So the parent has to force them to eat it, because they cannot explain to them that this thing which you don't like is actually what is going to make you grow and make you healthy, and your body needs it for all the operations that it has to do. So by force, the parents feed them, knowing it is good for them. And then as the child grows, that commandment or that instruction turns into explanation with understanding. In the exact same way, our Shastras understand that we start as spiritual children. So sometimes it is not easy for us to understand why we have to do what we have to do. But it tells us, do this and do that. And so we listen to it and we do it. And by doing it, we make ourselves ready to understand why it is that we have to do those things. So this is how the last chapter ended. Now what is going to happen is Arjuna has a question. What is Arjuna's question? Arjuna's question is, let me tell you the context a little bit. There are some people who know what the Shastras say. They know what the vidhi of the Shastra is. Shastra says this is how you should do puja, this is what you should do when you wake up in the morning. Like, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you look at your hands and you see the divinity in your hands that is going to allow you to do whatever you're going to do in the day. Karagre vasate Lakshmi, like that, right? We say. Nowadays, Karagre vasate phone. Our phone lives in our hand first thing in the morning, right? Then before we get out of bed, we're supposed to touch the ground and apologize to Dharti Ma for stepping on her all day. Like that, there's different things that we have to do to keep reminding ourselves of our divine purpose and the divinity that is there around us. But there are some people who are like, I don't care. This is so old school, old fashioned, I'm not going to do this. Right? So they reject it. For whatever reason, they don't listen to what the Shastra says and they don't follow the vidhi or the instructions of the scriptures. What do they do instead? Well, whatever society says, their friends tell them, as soon as you wake up in the morning, text me and tell me you woke up. Okay. And then they do that. Right? So they listen to what society says, or they do whatever their mind says they should do. Wake up when you want, eat when you want, don't brush your teeth before you eat, don't do puja before you start your day. Do whatever you want, whenever you want. And Bhagavan says, those people destroy themselves. Meaning, if you don't follow the instructions of that which is seeking your benefit, then you're going to get the opposite, which is the lack of your benefit. Sorrow will come. And that's what we see in society. People are less happy now by not following scriptures. You can analyze that and see if it is true, but that is my observation, right? Bhagavan says the person who doesn't follow Shastra, they destroy themselves. They don't get any great goal in this life because they don't follow discipline. Then they don't get the greatest goal of life also. Therefore, we should live a life guided by Shastra. So now you have two people. The types of people that say, no, Shastra is useless and I don't want to follow it. Or I just don't care enough, Then there are others who follow Shastras to the T. What Shastra says, they've learned it, they understand it, and they do it properly. Like Bhishma Pitamaha, the grandfather of the Pandavas and the Kauravas in Mahabharata. There's a story about how he was doing Shraddha Karma one time for his father. The Shraddha Karma that we do annually. And while doing this Shraddha Karma, this ritual, the hand of his father actually came out from the ground. When he was offering the pinda, the rice ball that we offer, right? The hand of his father came out to take that rice ball. Now he's offering this Shraddha Karma for his father. And his father's hand has come out. But he said, the vidhi or the instruction is that this rice ball has to go here, not over there. So he did not put it in the hand of his father which had come out. And he was applauded for following the Shastra exactly. Because Shastra is pramanam, not what I see, I think this is nice to do, so I do it. Shastra tells us what to do and we follow it. But Arjuna says, no, Bhagavan, there's a third type of person too. One follows and they do it properly. One doesn't follow, whether they know it or not. But there is a third type, and I have a question about that third type. But before we see Arjuna's question, I will just tell you one last thing. This chapter, chapter 17, Arjuna's question sounds like it could be answered in a one-word answer. If we were asked that question, we might have answered that in one sentence. But Bhagavan takes the opportunity to use Arjuna's question to show us what our mind is like. He reveals to us the state of our mind so that we can transform our mind such that it makes it more pure and more ready to receive the highest teaching of the scriptures, which is that my nature is the same nature as Paramatma. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna takes the opportunity to help us to look at our mind, to understand it, and to transform it. So let us see how he does that. First, let's see Arjuna's question now. I'll chant Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, and everybody please repeat, okay? Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Everybody.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Ye Shastra Vidhimutsrujya Yajante Shraddhayan Vitaha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Tesham nishtatu ka Krishna Sattvam ahurajastamaha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. Arjuna says, now this third type of person, there's one who doesn't follow scriptures, knowing or not knowingly, and they don't care. Then there are others who follow it, and they follow it properly. But Arjuna says, now there's a third type of people. Shastra vidim utsrajya yajante shraddhaya anvitaha. There's this type of people who don't follow scriptures. Not that they think it ought not to be followed, but they may not necessarily know properly what the Shastra is saying. Okay? But what they're doing it with faith. With full of faith, they do whatever it is that they're doing. So they worship Bhagavan full of faith, but Shastra Vidhi Utsrajya, not following the proper injunctions of the Shastra. Arjuna says, Tesham Nishtatuka. What is their, what do you have to say about them? How would you classify them? What would you say is their destination? How would you explain their nature? What is their condition? Sattvam Ahu Rajas Tamaha. Are they sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic? Meaning, would you consider them good, mediocre, or would you consider them bad? This is Arjuna's question. Means, is what they're doing right, average, or wrong? Fair question? Fair question. Actually, this question is super relevant, especially over here. Right? See, people may not have had an opportunity to hold the Vedas in their hand and open it and study it in Sanskrit to understand what the Vedas are saying about what we should do and what we should not do. But they understand that it is important, and they have great faith. And they have seen what their forefathers did, and they have seen what society is doing right now, and they have seen, they're told, oh, you're interested in this kind of thing? Okay, this is how you do it. So they hold on to the things that they have been taught by their forefathers or by society, and with great faith, they do it. It may not be right. They're not sure if it is right or wrong, but they do it with great faith as per their understanding. What about them? Actually, it sounds like Arjuna had foreseen that a group of people in 1838 would get onto a boat and would come across and would have to re-establish themselves in an environment and construct a whole culture, all the traditions from a fragment of people that had left and come here through harsh conditions and holding only maybe Ramayana, and not all of them could have read. Now in that situation, to figure out what it is to do, that too amidst the onslaught of colonialism where other things are being prioritized and in harsh working conditions and a totally unimaginable scenario that they would have gone through. And yet somehow they held on to something, and that is what has been passed down for the generations to come. Well, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing, Bhagavan Sri Krishna? One day there was a guru who used to do puja and havan. And he had some shishyas, disciples around him. And so every day he used to do puja, and they used to watch how he would do the puja. Now it so happened that a cat started to live nearby. A cat showed up, and that cat would come every time this guru sat and prepared his puja samagri and everything. This cat would come and he would knock over something, he would walk over something, he would disturb the puja area, he would make trouble. So the guru realized, well, this cat is here to stay. So every day, before he started to do puja, he would go and find the cat, look for the cat wherever he is, and he would tie the cat to the tree, and then he would come and he would sit and he would do puja. Now his disciples would sit and watch him do whatever he was doing. Now he grew old, and it was time for him to drop this body, and he said to his disciples, now you all carry on this work. Okay, Guru, we will. They were invited to do their first puja somewhere. So you have to send a list of puja samagri. You need chandan, kumkum, akshata, you need agarbatti and cotton and thread and a whole list. And on that list, a cat. Why? Because before you start puja, you have to find a cat and tie it. So please arrange a cat. Now, with that understanding, thinking that the cat is part of puja, you can see it would be very easy for them to now, this cat is important. Let's put chandan on the cat also. Let's do arti for the cat also. Then let's make a bhajan for the cat also. For not understanding that this was not part of it, it had become part of it, and now we know it is part of the puja. That's all. You do puja for the cat before you start. So they're not there to ask also what was the purpose of this or what was the purpose of that. We do what we know. So then there's the language barrier also. Not only that, even people in Bharat who have access to, who know Sanskrit, who have access to the Shastras, right? They have people teaching them right there. They also don't know everything because our Shastras are endless, right? So it is not possible to know everything, and you don't know which is ritual, which is custom, which is, a tradition of this area. Bharat is so wide, everyone does things differently. So, Bhagavan, what do you have to say about that? What do you think? The fact that people do with faith, even if it is wrong or may not be right, is okay? Or is it a bad thing? Or is it a so-so thing? This is Arjuna's question. I hope Arjuna's question is clear. Right? What happens, now the other way of putting it is, you have some expensive equipment that has just been given to you in a factory or something, and you don't use the manual to operate the equipment. What will happen to that equipment? Will it operate optimally? No. So this most wonderful equipment called our body, mind, intellect, if we don't use the manual of our scriptures properly, what will happen to us? Are we doomed? Well, the common answer people might say is no. If you're doing it with faith, that is all that counts. That is the important thing. Then there will be other people who will say, no. If you are not doing it wrong, that is papa. You have people who feel that way too. It doesn't matter what people feel. What matters is what Bhagavan Shri Krishna has to say, right? So let us see what Bhagavan has to say now about these types of people. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
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 Trividha bhavati shraddha, dehinam sa swabhavaja.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Satviki rajasi chaiva, tamasi chaiti. Satviki rajasi chaiva, tamasi cheti tam shrinu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. Every time that Arjuna asks a question, Bhagavan Shri Krishna does not give him a direct answer. And that is because Arjuna's question is usually oversimplified. And it is not the kind of question that can get a yes or no answer. You know, not all questions have yes or no answer. Like, if the lawyer asks somebody in front of the judge, have you stopped beating your neighbor's children? Yes or no? Well, if you say yes, it means you used to beat them. And if you say no, it means you still beat them. But what if you never beat them? So not all questions are yes or no answers. So not all questions are one-word answers. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna is not only answering Arjuna, he is actually teaching all of us by giving Arjuna these answers. So in keeping us in mind also now Bhagavan answers. He says, Arjuna, you haven't thought about this question properly yet, right? There are actually Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sasvabhavaja. For a person, there are 3 types of Shraddha. Shraddha means faith, right? That is, the translation that we use in English. But faith doesn't have the power that Shraddha has, right? Shraddha. For a human being, there are 3 types of faith. What are they? Satviki, Rajasi, and Tamasi. Sattvic faith, Rajasic faith, and Tamasic faith. Or noble, mediocre, and ignoble Shraddha. These are the 3 types of faith. And where do they come from? Swabhavaja. They come from our nature. Our nature is what determines our faith. People often wonder, but where does our nature come from? Because if my faith is dependent on my nature, did my nature come from my genetics? So many studies are going on now, right? To see where our personality comes from. And they say, no, it is all genetics. Then there are others that say, no, it is from your parents and your upbringing, right? Well, Bhagavan explains, actually, our nature is formed. God gave you your nature. God is the one who decided you're going to be a little bit angry, a little bit suspicious, a little bit happy, a little bit confused. God didn't sit there and say, okay, I'm going to give you 5% anger, 20% of lack of emotion. And he didn't do that, deciding, I don't like you, I'll give you this, I like you, I'll give you that. Our nature is not determined by Bhagavan. Our nature is made by impressions of emotions and actions and vision over lifetimes that we have lived and continue to live. Every time that we do an action, that doesn't become our nature. If you do one good thing and you're always doing bad things, are you called a good person? Oh, look at the one kind thing you did. Let's start calling you kind-natured. Nature doesn't work like that. It has to be done over and over and over again before that thing becomes a person's nature, right? Or if there's a person who's generally good and they do one bad thing, you wouldn't say, well, they're a bad-natured person. You'll say, no, they're good-natured. They just did one bad thing. You understand? So a person's nature is not one action, but it is countless actions done over a long period of time repeatedly that become who they are. So I have made my own nature by all the actions that I have done over all the lifetimes that I have lived. Well, that means if I don't like my nature, I invited it myself. There were 3 friends who used to work together. And they used to eat lunch together every day. So at 12 o'clock is lunchtime, and they would get together and they would sit. You know, each of them would take turns to host them in their office space, and they would sit and eat. So they would open their lunch boxes, and the first one would open their lunchbox and be like, "Oh no, peanut butter and jelly again?" Sandwich. The next one would open their lunchbox. "Oh no, me also, peanut butter and jelly sandwich again?" And then the third one would open their lunchbox. "Oh no, me too, peanut butter and jelly sandwich again?" So they decided that this is not going to happen anymore. So the first one said, "I am going to tell my wife not to make these sandwiches for me from tomorrow and to give me something else. Otherwise, I'm not going home tomorrow." So they all said, yeah, okay, done. We will also do the same. Well, the next day came. Person number 1, what did he have? Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So he picked up his phone and he texted and he said, "You gave me peanut butter, jelly, and sandwich again." You know what that means. The next one, same thing happened. So he also picked his phone and he texted his family. "Well, you know, this is enough. You have to learn your lesson." The third one opened his box and said, "Peanut butter and jelly sandwich again." Well, he called his wife and he said, "I told you if I get peanut butter and jelly sandwich again, I'm not coming home." She said, "Well, you made it. What can I do?" You make your own lunch and you pack your own lunch and then you complain that you got the same thing again. Right? This is us. We invite our nature to ourselves and then we complain, "But why did this happen? Why did God give me this? Why am I like that?" We form our own nature. And you know the way to know what your nature is? In the commentary it is given, our nature is best revealed to us at the time of death. When someone is dying, you see their true colors. You know how someone can show that they're brave, powerful, strong their whole life? And then at the time that they're sick and on their deathbed, then they turn into like a little frightened chicken, like scared. You know what I'm talking about. Their whole tune changes, right? Then there are other people who seem weak and fragile, but at the time of death, they tell everyone strongly, "Don't worry, stand up, this is part of life," and true nature comes out at that time. Now, you all don't need to wait for that time to find out what is my nature. We find our nature also at times of adversity. When difficult time comes, when critical opportunities in life come, at that time, what our mind throws up, that reveals to us what our nature is. Or when we're alone, and even in dream. Now, if you don't like what you see at that time, you have the power to change it. But it is important because our nature is what determines our Shraddha. Okay? So this is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying here. Now, because we have narrow vision, it is hard for us to realize, there's different types of Shraddha. That means that there will be different types of consequence. Like, for example, during the war, Ravana had gone to do Havan. In the middle of the battle, on one of the days, he and Meghnad went to do Yajna. He had faith that doing that Yajna is going to make him powerful. Faith in the Shastra he had. And he was following the Vidhi of the Shastra. Well, is that a good thing? The faith that he had was tamasic faith. So how will that bring happiness? So just having faith and just following the scriptures, Arjuna, is not enough. You have to understand what is the Shraddha with which that person is doing what they're doing. That is what is going to determine this whole thing. So doing with Shraddha is not enough. What kind of Shraddha it is? For example, you know, when you're doing puja and you offer naivedyam, prasad, you're not supposed to eat that before you offer it to Bhagavan. You're not supposed to offer juta food to Bhagavan, correct? You're supposed to offer pure, untouched food. Well, when Bhagavan Sri Krishna went to the forest and he met Shabari, what is that famous bhajan line? Jhute phal Shabari ke khai. Means, they say how Shabari Ma would pick a berry and taste it and make sure it was sweet before she offered it to Bhagavan. That is and I mean, there's descriptions of how Lakshmana was standing there squeezing his face, getting angry, like, what kind of thing is she doing? You know how Lakshmana is. Now that is what Shabari is doing. Can you do the same? Taste it and offer to Bhagavan? Well, her Shraddha was of a totally different level. So we can't compare what she did and how she followed Vidhi with how we follow Vidhi. Then, I don't know if you all know, I recently only found out. Bhagavan Ganesh Ji does not like to be offered tulsi. There's a Puranic story that tells that you're not supposed to offer tulsi to Lord Ganesha. Now you think everybody in the world knows that? Tulsi is something special to offer. And I love Lord Ganesha, so I'm going to offer him something special. I don't know that he doesn't like tulsi. Right? So now what if I offer tulsi my whole life to Lord Ganesha? That means he's angry with me or what? But I offered it with love. So this whole thing gets very confusing. The answer is, if we are following Shastra, then everything is simple. But if we are not following Shastra, then the result depends on our nature. And our nature depends on our Shraddha. So now Bhagavan will tell what these different types of Shraddha look like, so we can see which ones we have. Right? Let's chant. Anyways, he has something to say first before he tells. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
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 Sattvanurupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Sattvanurupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shraddha Mayoyam Purushaha Yo Yachhattha Sa Eva Saha,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama,
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says something about Shraddha before he tells about Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Shraddha. He says, Sattva Anurupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. O Arjuna, everybody's faith is based on their mind. Our nature expresses through our mind, isn't it? Right? So everybody's faith is based on their mind. Now someone will say, no, wait. But everybody doesn't have faith. So how can everybody's faith be based on their mind? You know people who don't have faith? Well, yeah, I know people who don't have faith. Bhagavan says, no, hold on. He says, Shraddha Mayaha Ayam Purushaha. The human being is full of faith. Meaning, our entire life is run by faith. Here, see this. If you haven't thought about it, it's mind-blowing. For you to enter this mandir, physically I'm talking about, did you not need to have faith that the person who built this building built it in such a way that it is not going to fall on your head when you walk in? Faith was required. You didn't have to say to yourself, okay, do I have faith that this building is going to be okay? That calculation happened quietly and automatically and you walked in. But faith was required to come. Then the fact that you decided to come to satsang, was faith not required to say, well, something is there that I'm going to get as a result of going? Then you know the roads in Guyana, right? When you are driving on the road, it requires great faith or not? That when I am driving this direction, somebody is not going to come the other way and drive into me. or if cars have to stop and wait for me to go, they will stop so I can go. Faith is required for driving to happen on the road. Faith is required for pedestrian to walk on the road knowing that, okay, a car is going to stop and wait for me to cross. Right? Faith is required for me to decide what I'm going to eat for lunch or breakfast or dinner. I have faith that what I'm going to eat is going to make me healthy, or at least it's going to make me happy. One of the two. Right? I have faith before I make any single decision in my life. When you go to the supermarket and you buy something, you buy it with faith that what you're buying has been made correctly and it is not expired and they haven't erased the expiry date and stuck a new one, and so much faith is required in every single thing we do. When you eat lunch, do you not have faith that it was cooked correctly? Yeah. Will you go to a restaurant if you think that they have rats in the kitchen? No. I go there with full faith that they're taking all measures to make sure that the food is clean. Right? One family was sitting at the table for lunch. And the little boy asked his parents, Mom and Dad, what can we never eat for lunch? And his parents were thinking, well, I don't know, you can eat anything you want for lunch. He's like, no, there are two specific things you can never eat for lunch. What? What is it? Breakfast and dinner. You can't eat that for lunch? Those are children jokes. Anyway. Now, when my eyes tell me that this thing is gray, I have faith in my eyes and I believe it, isn't it? When my eyes tell me that this thing is solid, I have faith and I believe it. But science is telling that this thing is 99.99% space. But what do I believe, science or my eyes? I believe my eyes, right? Sometimes our eyes can be wrong. We think the sun is rising, but the sun is stationary. Then people who are colorblind. One time in school, I remember a few of my friends, we were coloring the flag. You know, I grew up in Ghana, in West Africa. And the flag colors are the exact same as Guyana, right? We all had to color the flag as one of our classes. Well, a few of my friends colored the flag wrong. Well, who doesn't know what the colors of the flag are? They got in trouble, and they had to write, back in the day, the punishment was you had to write lines. The flag of Ghana is red, yellow, and green with a black star. 100 times they had to write that line. Well, later on they found out that they are actually just colorblind. And it wasn't their fault that they colored the flag wrong. Right? Some people really till today, they see the traffic light and the only way they know the color is the order, not the actual color. Right? Colorblind. So the eyes are telling you something, but actually it is not like that. One mom told her son, your dad's color blindness is getting worse. It's getting really bad now. So her son said, why, what happened? She said, well, now he's starting to see my black hair as gray. We cannot act without faith in this world. Whatever it is we have faith in. We may have faith in the knowledge that we have from our parents, from society, from our senses, but without faith, a person cannot act. You cannot take a child cannot learn to walk without faith. That child who can't walk has to have faith that, okay, if I cannot take this step, my parent is going to catch me. How else will they get up and learn to walk? So faith is required for every single thing in this universe. And Bhagavan's next phrase is, Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. A man is, or a person is, what their faith is. Whatever your faith is, that is who you become, right? So now there's that English statement, as you think, so you become. But our thinking is also based on our faith. So really who we are is 100% based on our faith. If a person has faith in God, their actions will be a certain way, isn't it? If a person has faith in the doctor, their faith will be a certain way. One man was sick in his deathbed, and he's lying there, and the doctors are trying to revive him. And then the doctor says, oh, this person is now dead. And that man says, no, doctor, I'm alive. And the nurse standing next to him says, what? You think you know more than the doctor also? Faith, we have faith in the doctors. Then we have faith in medicines. How does our faith in medicine increase? When you take a medicine, if it helps you, then you start believing, oh yeah, if I take it, then I'll feel better. So then our faith increases in that thing also, right? American atheists are the funniest. I mean, there's atheists all over the world, but the American ones are the funniest because they say, I don't believe in God. What do they believe in instead? The green notes. Right? They don't believe in God, they believe in the green notes. But have you ever looked on the green note and seen what it's written on there? In who we trust? In God we trust. So the green note trusts in God, but they don't trust in God, but they trust in the green note. See the irony of that whole thing? As is our Shraddha, that is the way our life is. Shraddha also doesn't have to have a basis always. Like, there are some people who believe that the Dutchman is living on the cotton tree. Is there any way you can verify that? There's no way you can verify that because no one is going to allow you to cut that cotton tree down to see what will happen, right? So some people have faith, and it may be blind faith or it may have reasons or whatever it is, but who we are is based on our faith, and our faith is universal. So there are 3 types of faith: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic faith. And it is important because our actions are based on our faith. If a person has sattvic faith, the result is peace and happiness. If a person has rajasic faith, the result is sorrow and agitation. If a person has tamasic faith, well, the result is ignorance and they bring harm upon themselves. This is why it is important. And the even more important reason is we all have these 3 qualities in our life: sattva, rajas, and tamas. So our faith will also be a mixture of all of these things in different aspects of our life. And so we have to be aware and watch our mind and learn about ourselves and our nature. And that is the direction in which Bhagavan is taking this whole chapter. Right? So now let us see. Arjuna's question was about people who worship Bhagavan with faith. So Bhagavan tells now about people who worship Bhagavan, who worship with different types of faith. Right? So let us chant now verse number 4. Yajante satvika devan yaksharaksham rajasaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Pretan bhutaganam shaiva Preta bhutaganam shanye Yajante tamasa janaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante yetapo janaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Dambhahankara samyuktaha kamaragabalanvitaha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. Yajante Satvika Devan. Those with Satvik Shraddha worship the Devatas like Shivji, Ganeshji, Hanumanji, Devi Ma. These are the people, the beings that they worship. Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasaha. People with Rajasic Shraddha, they worship the Yakshas and Rakshas like Kubera, you know, the treasurer of Swarga, the one who owns all, who manages the safe, like beings like that. And Preta Bhuta Garamscha Anye Yajante Tamasajanaha. The tamasic, those with tamasic Shraddha, they worship Bhuta Pretas. They worship all the spirits. I don't know, what is the word for that over here? In Ghana we call it Juju. In Trinidad it's called Obia. What is it called here? Jambi. They like that. Right? So these are the three types of Shraddha. But now let me ask you a question. Just because someone worships Bhagavan Shiva, does that make them a good-natured person? Have you seen people coming and doing puja and going out and being totally indescribable? You can't even describe what they are. Right? So how is Bhagavan saying this? Well, you see, when we do puja, there are three factors. There is the object of worship, which is what or who we are worshipping. But there is also the method of worship. Like when Ravana was sitting to worship Bhagavan, he didn't have enough sattva to sit there in meditation like Vibhishana. So what did he do? He started to cut off his heads and offer his heads to Bhagavan Shiva one by one. Right? So different modes of worship are also there. Then the third factor is the intention behind the worship. Some people worship to really express devotion. Some people worship because they want money or power or something. Some people worship to destroy other people, right? So the intention is also there. So what Bhagavan is saying is a very general thing, but you have to keep in mind, it is not so straightforward, simple. that Bhagavan is making us think a little bit more, right? Now, this same thing can be applied in a practical sense also. Who we worship, meaning who do we consider as our ideal in life, in society? Deva means that which shines. So those people who have sattvic shraddha, who have a sattvic inclination, their role models and their ideals in society are Mahatmas and Gurus. And when they go to a place for a vacation, they'll wonder, oh, is satsang going on here? Can I go and meet some Mahatma? Like that. That is how they think, Who they look up to is these kinds of people, and what they wish for is more shraddha, more bhakti, more clarity, more understanding. Then the people who worship yaksha rakshamsi, people who are rajasic, yaksha raksha stands for money and power and fame. There are people in this world who have role models who are rich and powerful and famous and all, isn't it? You see teenagers' rooms. Do they have a picture of Bhagavan? Or do they have a picture of some famous singer? Who are their role models? Actors and singers and pop stars. And well, nowadays, YouTube and Instagram influencers are their role models. I want to become like Mr. Beast. So then what they look for is they look for opportunities to party when they go to new places, and entertainment, and let's go see which movie is playing. Different things they look for, right? And then people who are tamasic, well, they admire people in the underworld. You may not admire someone in the underworld per se, but you may admire someone who can get things done very quickly under the table. If someone can get something done for you under the table, you want to keep them close to you because you don't want to go through the whole process. Well, the problem with that kind of thing is this. If you ask them for help, these kind of gangsters, they give help very quickly. So it is very easy to ask. You get the results immediately. But the cost of that immediate help is your life. Now you are bound to them for life because of that. Right? Means they possess you. How spirits possess you, these people, they possess you like that. So these are the different types of people that are there, and we can see our own indication based on the kinds of pictures we put up around us, based on the kind of people we consider to be our role models and our ideals, based on the things that we seek, right? Now, so that means even if someone is worshipping Bhagavan, their aspiration or why they're worshipping may be rajasic, right? So, and the method may be tamasic. So there's so many different combinations that make a person's nature. Then he says, now it gets even more complex. He says, look, we chanted this already. Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha. Then some people, beyond this also, they go and they do some terrible, intense tapas. Ghora, terrible tapas. That is not given in scriptures. Like, have you seen things like Fear Factor, where people walk on fire and they have to eat some living beings and they have to drink bottles of pepper sauce and all kinds of things that they have to do? It's tapas, isn't it? It's hurtful and painful and all kinds of things. But why do they do it? Dambha ahankara samyuktaha. To show off. If I do this thing, if I get to walk across from here to there on fire, well, I will go in the Guinness World Book of Records. Or I will get more likes on my social media page. People do things like this or not? Intense, ghora, terrible things for name and fame and recognition and all of that. Or kama raga bala anvitaha. Because of the strength of their desire and their likes. All the Rakshasas do this. I really want some power from Bhagavan, so I'm going to do some intense, terrible tapas as a result. Right? So, people punish themselves all the time doing these kinds of terrible things. So Bhagavan says, well, that is asuri nature. That is not even sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. That is like worse. You please be careful and don't go and do that. Right? Now what do? He continues. Let's chant. कर्षयन्त शरीरस्थं भूतग्राममचेतसः
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
मां चैवान्तशरीरस्थं तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियाः
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
श्रीकृष्णा शरणं मम श्रीकृष्णा शरणं मम
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
श्रीकृष्णा शरणं मम
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama
Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai. These people who do all this kind of terrible tapas, Bhagavan says, Karshayanta sharirastam bhutagramam achetasah. They're thoughtless people, first of all. They don't think properly. And what they do is they thin down their body, which is made of these 5 elements. So they don't eat and they don't, nourish themselves, and as a result, they become like emaciated. Then, mam cha eva anta sharirastam tan vidhi asura nishchayan. They persecute me also in their body. Bhagavan is saying they persecute me also in their body when they do this. Now someone might think, well, Bhagavan, I have been praying to you for so long and you haven't listened to me. So I want to teach you a lesson now. I am going to do this kind of ghora tapas to teach you a lesson. It doesn't persecute Bhagavan like that. But when a child doesn't listen to a parent for something that the parent tells them is good for them, does it not hurt the parent? It persecutes the parent when the child answers them back, ignores their good advice, doesn't pay attention to what is good for them, persecutes Bhagavan like that. Like they're leading to their downfall in spite of Bhagavan giving them good counsel. So he says, understand them to be of asuri resolve, even lower than tamasic. So, one is we have to be careful to not make up things that are not in the Shastra and think that, it is going to please Bhagavan if I do this intense thing or do that intense thing. And the second thing is, you may think, well, this is these Rakshasa, Ravana kind of people, but it happens in our life too. Is it not that we misuse our bodies because of bad habits for our own joy and entertainment? We put our bodies through all kinds of torture. You eat things that make the body suffer. You drink things that make the body suffer. You keep the body up late into the middle of the night when the body is not supposed to be awake at that time. So, because of our bad habits, we also make the body suffer, right? So this thing is not some foreign thing. I don't feel like exercising. This body which is supposed to move, we make it sit all day and do nothing, right? Then our eyes, our senses are supposed to be used in a certain way. But instead of looking at nature outside and letting, our eyes get rest when the sun goes down, our eyes are in front of a screen whole day, and everyone knows the effects that it has on the eyes, but they don't think of the effect it has on the mind as a result of that also, right? So, our body is considered to be a mandir, and Bhagavan is living in there. And so we're supposed to treat it as such. So these things are very important for us to think about in the way we conduct our lives also, right? Now, there are some people who may not be religious, they may not go to the mandir to do puja, they may not do this kind of yajna and all. Well, Bhagavan, how will I find out my nature if I don't have bhakti or devotion or want to come and do puja? Well, Bhagavan says, in every aspect of our life, there are ways for us to see what our nature is. Right? He says, he lists aharastu api sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha. In food also there are three kinds. There is sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food. And based on who we are and our nature, we will like sattvic food, or we will like rajasic food, or we will like tamasic food. Then yajna tapa tatha danam. Then in the way that we give yajna, people give in three ways. They do yajna, meaning they do their duty or they do any kind of sacrifice. They will do it with three different attitudes. Tapas, any kind of, austerity that a person does will be done with three different attitudes. Danam, any kind of giving is done with three attitudes. And so now, Arjuna, you listen to the difference between all of these three. So in this chapter, 5 aspects of our life are described. 1 was described, our devotion, whether we have rajasic, sattvic, or tamasic. Now Bhagavan is going to describe food. He is going to describe yajna. He is going to describe tapas. He is going to describe dana. Right? Sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. It is a fantastic chapter. It has such practical things. Even if people don't care about moksha that is being talked about in Bhagavad Gita, this is the kind of chapter that every single person ought to study, because it teaches them about their own mind and their own nature, and things that lead us to joy, things that lead us to sorrow, things that lead us to suffering. So it's a very beautiful chapter that helps us to remember that our shraddha, or our faith, has to be sattvic in all fields. And when we're sattvic in all fields, then our nature is sattvic. And when our nature is sattvic, then there is joy and happiness in our life. So, what was Arjuna's question? Arjuna's question was, what happens if somebody doesn't know Shastra and they do with Shraddha? Well, Bhagavan's counter question is, what kind of Shraddha? Is it sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic Shraddha? And that Shraddha is different in all different aspects of life. So, now tomorrow we will see what Bhagavan has to say about food. Food is everybody's favorite topic. I mean, you may not come to mandir regularly. Someone may never come to mandir. They may never give dana. They may never do yajna. They may never do tapas. But 100% everybody eats. So, food is one clear indication that will help everybody to take a look at their own nature. So that is the topic starting tomorrow. The 3 types of food that are there that indicate our nature based on what we like to eat, right? So we'll see that tomorrow at Parika Ramakrishna Mandir at 7 p.m. You're all welcome to join if you can come. Thank you very much, Pandit Rajeshji. And let me get this right, Windsor Forest Dharma Sumat Satsang Mandir. Thank you to all the members for getting together and organizing and hosting us. We're so happy to be here. We just started our segment on the West Coast a few days ago. We'll be here for a couple more weeks, going across. We'll be in Windsor Forest 2 more days, between, I think, Wednesday and Saturday, if my dates are correct. Right, but you can check. The whole list is on Facebook. If you're able to come, please feel free to join us, okay? All right, just a couple more announcements, and then I will pass back to Panditji. Chinmay Mission has over 2,000 publications written by different swamis and brahmacharis and teachers of the mission on all kinds of topics of interest in spirituality, frequently asked questions in Hinduism, symbolism in Hinduism, universal questions and timeless answers. These are questions that Lakshmanji asked Bhagavan Sri Rama in Ramayana about Jiva, about Jagat, about Maya, about Brahman, about Vairagya, about Bhakti. All of that answered very simply. And then kids' books all the stories from Puranas have been made into books with pictures and, short story form that kids can read every day, and the messages can go deep inside. So if you're interested, the books are for sale at the back. Actually, we were sold out. This new shipment has just come. So y'all are lucky. You're the first mandir that's getting books in a while. So please see if there's any of your interest and you can buy them. All right. This 108 nights Bhagavad Gita Yajna concludes on the 3rd of May, which is a Saturday, at the Gandhi Youth Cricket Ground in Georgetown at 5 p.m. We will be having a grand finale, and you are all invited. It would be so lovely to have you all join us as we celebrate this momentous occasion of 108 nights, over 108 mandirs across the whole of Guyana. Imagine people from Essequibo to Leguan to Wakenham to Berbice, Quarantine, all the way Crabwood Creek, everybody coming together to celebrate this study of Bhagavad Gita together. So please, if you can come, do join us. It will be wonderful to see you over there. 2 more announcements. One is, three. There's a bookmark. Oh, there isn't a bookmark? Okay, never mind. Sorry, I take that back. Chinmay Mission Guyana is starting many classes. If you're interested in studying this kind of thing, you can see online. You can take classes in Sanskrit, in chanting, and Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, children's classes, youth classes. Classes for toddlers will also be starting, 1.5 to 4-year-old class. So many different things will be going on. Please check our Facebook page, and if there's anything of interest, you can join. We'll also be starting a Pandit course, the focus of which will be proper chanting of the mantras for puja. If you know anyone who's interested, but they have to be between 15 and 30 years old. And it will happen every day for 6 months, from May 12th until November, online, and then in December we will have an in-person component for 1 week at the ashram. Okay, so that's happening. Last announcement. Chinmay Mission has a Vedanta course. A Vedanta course is a 2-year course that is conducted where a person who is interested in studying the scriptures deeply, systematically, clearly, goes and stays at the ashram for 2 years, Gurukul style, with the Guru. And every single day, no holidays, no weekends, they have class from 5:30 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night. And they study Vedic chanting, puja, Sanskrit, Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, all these things every single day. And they get such a clear understanding of what our scriptures are saying. If you're interested in this kind of thing, then the next course is starting on October 2nd in Trinidad, right here. It's offered in Mumbai and Trinidad in English, and the Trinidad one's starting very soon. So you can apply. You have to be 30 and under, have a university degree, and be unmarried. You apply for the course, and after the interview, if you get in, then the whole course is a sponsorship. Okay? All right. Thank you all once again. Oh, we will have Aarti, and then I will pass it back to Panditji. We have been doing Bhagavad Gita Aarti. So if that's okay, Panditji, we'll do that. Someone will come and do it. जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते हरिहिय कमल विहारिणि हरिहिय कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवद गीते
गीते मय जय भगवद गीते हरिहिय कमल विहारिणि हरिहिय कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवद गीते
कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामासक्ति हरा
मय्या कामासक्ति हरा
तत्त्वज्ञान विकासिनी
तत्त्वज्ञान विकासिनी
विद्या ब्रह्म परा
ओम जय भगवद गीते
निश्चल भक्ति विदायिनी निर्मल मलहारी
मय्या निर्मल मलहारी
शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी
शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी
सब विधि सुखकारी
ओम जय भगवद गीते
राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणी मोद सदा
मय्या कारिणी मोद सदा
भव भयहारिणी तारिणी
भव भयहारिणी तारिणी
परमानंद प्रदा
ओम जय भगवद गीते
आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तमरजनी
मय्या नाशिनी तमरजनी
दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी
दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी
हरिरसिका सजनी
ओम जय भगवद गीते
समता त्याग सिखावनी हरिमुख की बानी
मय्या हरिमुख की बानी
सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी
सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी
श्रुतियों की रानी
ओम जय भगवद गीते
दया सुधा बरसावनी मातु कृपा की जय
मय्या मातु कृपा की जय
हरिपद प्रेम दान कर
हरिपद प्रेम दान कर
अपनो कर लीजय
ओम जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते मय्या जय भगवद गीते हरिः कमल विहारिणी हरिः कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवद गीते
ओम जय भगवद गीते
ओम जय भगवद गीते
ओम मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गरुडध्वजः मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्षं मंगलायतनो हरिः त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये, हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम तत्सत।